What is up, and I welcome each and every one of you back to a brand new video. I hope you're all having fantastic days, and if not, I hope I can make your day just a little bit better. Before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Did I tell you guys to subscribe? Because that is something you should definitely be doing. We are out here. We are looking at the top 5 winners and losers from the April update that just released yesterday. That is right. I am going to be going through 10 civilizations with the 2 honorable mentions, and we are going to see who came out better in the April update and who came out the worst. Now, disclaimer. I'm not ranking the top civs and worst civs after the April update. I'm talking about the updates they actually got. For example, Russia is still one of the best civs in the entire game by far, but they come out as a loser because they did get nerfed pretty hard in the New Frontier Pass. I'm not saying they're bad, I'm just saying that if the April update didn't happen, they would be much better off for it. Now, without further ado, let's start off with our first honorable mention for the winners category. We are looking at Lady Six Guys. Yes, she got 2 new abilities that are absolutely massive for her. I mean, my God. Number 1, you receive a free builder when constructing a city within 6 tiles of your capital. Oh my God. And this stacks with Ancestral Hall. I tested it out yesterday, and if you get Ancestral Hall, you will get 2 builders. This is incredible because, as you know, the Mayans don't get river or lake settle. They don't get housing from those freshwater tiles. They don't get housing at all in general. So you literally have cities with 2 housing max, and before you had to spend like 10, 15, 20 turns pumping out a builder before the city could even begin to grow. But now, with the free builder in every city, you can build 1, 2, 3 farms, and with those farms, you're going to get some production, gold, and food. That is right, I said production, because her other ability is farms now get production for each adjacent observatory, as well as gold and amenity for every adjacent to the city center. This is another really good bonus because, as you know, Mayans have a sort of grassland start bias, plantations, farms, no hills whatsoever. So they didn't end up fixing that. They also fixed her start position a little bit. But now with these farms, you're getting production for each adjacent observatory. That's going to make things really good because now you can actually build industrial zones in a good enough amount of time. And by the time you get industrial zones, your production should be good enough to boost towards a science victory. That is why I have the Mayans as the first honorable mention spot. Nothing too crazy, but just some nice quality of life changes that helps her really absolute abhorrent early game and sets her up for victory later on in the game. Next up, we're going to look at the second honorable mention, this time from the losers category. We are looking at Nubia. That is right, a Manator. Now, you now get 30% production towards ranged units instead of 50% production, although the Nubian pyramid now gains an extra food and an extra faith. Now, as good as the Nubian pyramid gaining extra yields is, improvement that unlocks, it must be built on the desert, number 1. It has to be on a desert, whether it's hills, floodplains, regular desert, doesn't matter. Secondly, it gets adjacent yields when adjacent to the city center, and you only get the production towards district when it's adjacent to the city center, which is usually all you need for the Nubian pyramid. The reason I have her as an honorable mention winner is because of the Taseti nerf. My God, 30% production instead of 50% production towards ranged units. That might not seem like too big of a drop-off, but now you're going to be building less archers, and these Pitati archers are the best ranged unit in the entire game by far. They are stronger and extra movement speed, not to mention that you're going to be able to upgrade into them from the slinger, not to mention that mines over bonus and luxury resources give you more gold, so you can spend more gold upgrading Pitati archers. The fact that you now have a 30% production towards ranged units means your early rushes are going to be a lot less effective, especially on the higher difficulties, but I only have her as an honorable mention because the Nubian pyramid buff is solid. It is just not as solid as the Taseti nerf, and considering that there weren't too many big nerfs here, not many nerfs at all if I'm being quite honest with you, I'll leave her as an honorable mention for now. Okay, let's go towards the number 5 winner. We are looking at Greece. Which Greece? I'm talking about both Greeces, especially Gorgo. Thermopylae now gets an extra bonus. You get 1 combat strength for every military policy card slotted, which means early game you're going to automatically have 2 combat strength because you have an extra wildcard slot. And by the time you get oligarchy, that is an extra 3 combat strength potential from just putting in military policy cards. That is pretty damn strong, which helps not only Gorgo but also Pericles. Although I am just going to be talking about Gorgo because, well, number one, apparently I can't find Pericles. But number two, Pericles is more of the sort of culture sim type of civ, whereas Gorgo literally has Thermopylae in her name, which you know means business. 1 combat strength for every military policy means your hoplites are now going to have 30 combat strength. So if you beeline them, go for a nice early rush, you should be easily able to completely knock out whoever you're going up against. By the time you get Oligarchy, your hoplites are now looking at 30 combat strength, plus extra 4 from Oligarchy. And if you decide to go for a swordsman rush, which is a really good idea, take out one civilization with a hoplite rush and another with a swordsman rush, because bronze working has both hoplites and iron, and is on the way to iron working. So now you can go take out a civilization, build some warriors, upgrading them into swordsmen, which will have 3 plus 4 from Oligarchy, 7 plus 35. They will have 42 combat strength without the Great General, which early on in the game is unmatched and will allow you to take out at least 2 civs early on. Battering rams, swordsmen, hoplites, Gorgo now has it all and has come out a lot better than she was before the April update. Number 5 loser, we are looking at Poland. That is right. Now, Poland's majority religion becomes the dominant religion in cities that lose a tile to a Polish culture bomb. It used to be Poland's religion. Now they changed it into, if Poland doesn't have a religion, the majority religion in her city. No, it's the majority religion, even if she does have a religion in her cities, will become the dominant religion in tiles that lose a culture bomb. I don't think I have to explain why this is bad, because if you don't found a religion as Poland, why would you want to spread everybody else's religion to other cities? It's not spreading a religion to your cities, it's enemy cities, and cities that lose a tile to a Polish culture bomb, which means it's only enemy cities that lose a tile to your culture bomb, which means you're actively spreading somebody else's religion to another civilization. It would be different if it was spreading the religion to your cities, but it is spreading religion to other cities. That is the problem I have with that. You don't get the founder belief bonus. You're not going to get any bonuses by spreading the religion to anybody else's cities. It just doesn't make any sense, right? Why did they change that? This is actually a nerf in my opinion, because if it was supposed to be a buff, but it's a nerf. If it was just your cities, something like cities that have a culture bomb now gain your majority religion or something, it would be stupid in my opinion, like no doubt about that. But it's better than spreading somebody else's religion to another civilization. You know what I mean? It's going to get to a point where you can't stop someone from winning a religious victory, because if you take their majority religion, it's just like, what am I going to do? Buy missionaries? That's not going to help you. You're buying missionaries for the person's religion who's winning the game. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe I'm not reading into this too right, but they just made Poland a lot worse, and you have to be a lot more careful when using your culture bombs now, especially if you don't found a religion. Now we have the number 4 winner. Oh, you guys know who it is already. We are looking at Spain. What's the man's name again? Philip, I think, right? Yes, Philip II. Treasure fleets now give extra gold, faith, and production, tripled with trade routes between multiple continents. Also, 25% production towards districts, and a free builder when you settle a city on another continent. Everything else is pretty much the same for Spain. The one difference is that now they have a much higher start bias towards geothermal fissures, which happen in between continents, so you are more likely than not to spawn in between continents, which means you're going to be able to make use of your abilities a lot better. Because of this, Spain, Philip in general, has become a much more better civ and a much more reliable civ, and Spain on a huge Earth map could be really, really fun. I'm just throwing that out there. But that's all I have for Philip. Next up, we have number 4 loser, Peter of Russia. Look how they massacred my boy. Oh my god. Mother Russia now only gives you 5 extra tiles instead of 8. Not too bad considering that you only get the extra tiles. When you get extra tiles, it goes for the best tiles. So really you're losing 3 average to below average tiles. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's the Lavra now. Oh my god. The Lavra provides 1 Great Rider point per turn, 1 great artist point, 1 great musician points just by building the Laurier. This was before the April update, and it made it so that Peter got every single great artist. It was unfair, it was unbalanced, it was completely bullshit, and I absolutely loved it because, well, let's get this straight. When you get every single great writer, artist, and musician, you will easily win culture victories by around turn 200, potentially even before turn 200, which is insane. Now you're only going to get the great writer point when you get a shrine, great artist point with a temple, great musician with a worship building. The shrine is going to take maybe 10 turns for you to build, temple maybe 20 turns, and the worship, well, no, temple maybe 30 to 40 turns because it is on the late civic of theology. And the worship building, you have to get a temple first to get the worship building. So it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not a massive nerf by any stretch of the imagination. Now your culture victories aren't going to be abhorrently easy. You know what I mean? You're actually going to have to work for the culture victories, which sucks for Peter, but it is much more balanced in my opinion. And for that reason, we're going to put him as the 4th loser. The 3rd winner, we have Latoro of the Mapuche. Yes, that is right. What did they change? Number 1, Swift Talk. Killing an enemy unit within a city causes them to lose 20 loyalty, but now they lose 40 loyalty if that civilization is in a golden or heroic age, which means if you kill 3 enemy units, you will easily be able to rebel the city. Not only that, you have 10 combat strength when fighting free cities now, along with civilizations in a golden age. So what you can do is go to war with somebody within a golden age. Like, you have a massive combat strength bonus already, take out 3 units, and then take out the free city, and then you can establish the governor, because now Tokwi gives you culture, production, and experience towards units trained in the city. Not only that, they're also tripled in cities not founded by the Mapuche. Not only that, but all cities within 9 tiles of a city with your governor gain 4 loyalty per turn. Now, I'm assuming they stack, so if you have 2 to 3 governors in enemy cities that you've conquered, you are getting 8 loyalty from the governor, and then another 8 loyalty from adjacent governors, which makes it 16 loyalty from governors. That is massive. That means that even in a goal, you will not have loyalty problems as Latoro at all. The Malone Rider is now going to be cheaper, I think, and the Chamamal unique improvement is going to provide production as well as the same amount of culture and tourism. It's really the fact that with Latoro now you have an identity. You go ahead, kill some enemy units, rebel the city, take the city, put a governor in there, put some governors around it, and then boom, that city's not only going to be a production and cultural powerhouse, which you can use to transition to a culture victory late game, you will also be able to keep that city with loyalty, even if the enemy is in a golden age, which is when you really should be fighting as Swift Hawk. Now, number 3 loser, we have the Kongo. That is right, Vemba Nzinga. His Kisi promotion, he gets an extra faith from relics, artifacts, and sculptures, which is a nice buff, but now you don't receive 50% more great writers, which is a massive nerf. Before, the Kongo were one of those civs where you wanted to get great writers and apostles and get all these relics, great works, with the writers, especially make your cities nice and big. The 50% more great writers meant you could get a massive amount of great writers. Now, you still get the bonus for artists, musicians, and great merchant points, but it's not as good without the great writer points, right? Great writers are the most important great artist in the early game. You don't really start making great artists until like turn 80 to 100. Great musicians are way off into the future. So not being able to get that bonus towards great writers means the Kongo have definitely been nerfed massively for a culture victory, and the 1 faith from their relics, artifacts, and great works of art really don't make up for it. Number 2 winner, we are looking at Canada, Wilfrid Laurier. Before, the tundra was just something that was potentially settleable if there wasn't better land. Now you want to settle the tundra. Mines and lumber mills on tundra now provide an extra 2 production. Camps provide 2 food, and farms provide 2 food, as well as the strategic accumulation in tundra and the reduced purchase cost of tiles in these terrain types by 50%. Now you will be getting massive amounts of production and food, which will make tundra tiles just as good, if not better, than plains and grassland tiles for Canada. And considering that nobody wants to settle tundra tiles, you can just expand toward, it's like Russia pretty much now. You're going to be able to easily expand towards the Great White North, or the Great White South, whichever you prefer, and build a nice, solid, productive, growing empire. Not only that, But now the Mounties have 2 national park charges. Having 1 is already underrated. Now having 2, you'll be able to save all your faith that you're going to accumulate for the great rock bands later on, and the Mounties, build 2 or 3 of them, you'll easily be able to get all the national parks you want, which is a massive, massive buff. You still have the ice hockey rink, you still have the 4 faces of peace. Now with Canada, you have a much better early game, as well as somebody can't declare war on you, means you can afford to spend times towards builders and infrastructure instead of military units and get off to a much faster start and be able to utilize your culture diplomacy sort of game, which is why I have Canada at the number 2 spot. Number 2 for the losers, Tamar of Georgia. I came in here expecting Tamar to get some sort of massive rework, or at the very least a massive buff. What do they give her? Combat victories provide faith equal to half the combat strength of the defeated unit. And they removed the Protectorate War bonus. Even if they kept the double faith towards a Protectorate War, they would still be absolutely trash. Now people are saying like, oh, but you can use that to get an early Pantheon. 50% combat strength. Warriors and horsemen from barbarians have 20 combat strength. You're going to have to kill 3 enemy units in order to get a Pantheon. How long do you think it's going to take you to find an encampment, find 3 barbarians, and kill them? How long is that going to take? Is it going to take maybe 30 to 35 turns? Because let's say it takes you like 5 turns to find an encampment, 5 more turns to take it out. That's 1 unit. You're not going to be able to catch scouts, quite honestly. It's going to take you like 20 to 30 turns to kill barbarians early game. And by that time, you could have had God King and already gotten a Pantheon, so I don't really see the point of this. You might be like, monumentality. Well, again, how many units are you going to have to kill early game to make enough faith to start faith buying settlers and builders? You could go to war with an early civilization, but you don't have any combat bonuses towards going to war with an early civilization. You're going to get smacked, bamboozled, crushed, decimated, destroyed, bent over, whatever you want to say. Tamar is still an absolutely abhorrent, terrible, revolting, disgusting civilization to play as, and I am completely disappointed that is all they gave her. Her abilities don't make any sense too. The Kevsar is now at man-at-arms, so now you can upgrade Georgia's swordsman into the Kevsar, which does make it that's a lot better than the combat victory bonus buff they got, let me tell you that. It just doesn't make any sense. The only abilities that synergize are Strength and Unity's production towards defensive buildings and the Seek, which is a Renaissance wall. But even with the lowered production cost, you still have to build ancient and medieval walls in order to get the Seek. Why couldn't they make it at the very least a medieval era building, right? That would have been something. Strength and Unity, Golden Ages, you can get normal age bonus towards improving the Golden Age. It doesn't synergize with any of her other abilities. The Renaissance Walls, you get tourism after conservation, and for faith, and tourism and faith are doubled in a goal. Okay, you know what? Strength and Unity does synergize with Seek, that's my bad, but it's still not that good. 6 tourism, double faith, you still have to build ancient and medieval walls. The Kevsar is now a solid unit, no doubt about that, but it isn't that good. Production towards hill terrain is fine. It's like an above average unique unit now. The Envoy one really doesn't make any sense to me because you're not going to be going for diplomacy at all with Tamar, especially when they removed the Protectorate War bonus, so that doesn't make any sense to me. So really what Tamar is, the strategy would be to get a Golden Age, then pray you get a Golden Age, then try to string it along with normal age bonuses, which you could potentially do quite easily, and then the Seek give you 6 tourism per Renaissance walls. Renaissance walls, mind you. You still have to build medieval and ancient walls. And then the combat victories provide faith equal to half combat. It doesn't make any sense. By the time you kill the barbarians needed to get the faith, obviously that's not even counting if you kill a slinger or a scout, you're going to need 4 or 5 barbarians killed. You go for an enemy civilization, they're going to have probably too many units before turn 30 or 40 for you to really do anything about. So that doesn't really make any sense. You're not even going to be able to get an early Pantheon out of that. So really, Georgia is still in the same place they were, absolutely terrible and atrocious. I don't know what else to do. It's just like, you know what I mean? This is the last free update, apparently, so unless they come out with a new Frontier Pass, Georgia's just going to be in the state of just absolute purgatory. But that's enough ranting about Georgia for now. Let's look at the number 1 winner, we are looking at the Khmer, as I like to call them, monasteries of the king, holy sites granted major adjacency with rivers, a culture bomb, and food equal to its adjacency bonus. My god, imagine work ethic on the Khmer. Not to mention 2 housing on a river as well. Not to mention that Grand Barriers will give aqueducts amenities from entertainment, faith for every population, and 2 food if farms are adjacent to an aqueduct, and 1 faith if adjacent to a holy site. Aqueducts in Khmer are going to be incredible, but that's not all. The Domri now replaces the Trebuchet, and while you're not going to get that cool animation, it does now have a higher melee and range strength than the Trebuchet, and it can move and shoot in the same turn. So Domris are just walking tanks. 2 of them decimate whatever civilization you want. It's absolutely incredible. Not only that, the Prasad gives you faith, replaces the temple, required to purchase apostles and inquisitors, 0.5 culture for every population, and once flight is researched, you receive 10 tourism if you have 10 population, and 20 if you have 20 population. You are going to be able to grow so tall with Jayavarman. You're going to be able to utilize the culture and tourism bonus, and after beelining the Domri and taking out an early civilization, beelining flight, imagine a night rush on the Khmer. My god, oh my lord, oh no, what is this? They are easily S tier in my opinion now. Absolutely, like they now have an actual victory type to go for. Using your faith, you can easily win a tourism by the time you get to flight. Make sure you just grow really big, go for a night rush, get some Domries, absolutely, or even a man-at-arms at this point. Like at the very, like you could go for a man-at-arms rush, get a great general in Domri, and absolutely go to town, wreak havoc. Jayavarman has been the biggest winner for the new Frontier Pass, and is probably one of the best civilizations in the entire game now. Coming out with a playthrough of Jayavarman later today, so do stay tuned for that, and do subscribe so you do get the notification when I do release the video. Finally, our biggest loser, England. In fact, I'm going to go to, what's-her-face? We're going to go to Eleanor's England, because I feel like that's a much bigger, oh my god. The worst civilization in the game didn't get a change. At the very least, Georgia can upgrade into Kevsars now, so it is undoubtedly a buff for Georgia no matter how small. But I mean, England, come on. All they had to do was Workshop of the World. If they gave old England's bonuses back, where like archaeological and art museums provided double space for great works of writing or great works of art and archaeological sites, that would be good enough. You get Court of Love, which is really good on French Eleanor. Make no mistake about it, French Eleanor is an absolute monster with the Grand Tour, with double tourism, with the Chateau. Culture victories are insane on French Eleanor, but England Eleanor, you have no bonuses whatsoever towards tourism. Workshop of the World really doesn't benefit you at all. Sea Dogs don't. Royal Navy Dockyard doesn't. They've completely abandoned English Eleanor, who is still the worst civilization in the game. The gap has actually increased considerably because Georgia got a buff and Spain got a buff, and Eleanor didn't get anything whatsoever. In fact, you could argue it was a sort of nerf because everybody else got buffed, and she's still the worst civilization in the entire game. She's still absolutely trash because none of her abilities work together. It just doesn't make any sense quite. If you're going to play England, play Victoria. Victoria, England, while not that good, is not that bad, right? It's not like Prax Britannica. Every time you settle a city on a new continent, you get a free melee unit and trade rock capacity. My god. Not to mention that the red coat now upgrades into the line, replaces the line infantry, which means you can upgrade into it. It gets more combat strength, and also it gets combat strength on other continents, which leads into Pax Britannica because you want to settle on other continents, leading into Workshop of the World because you're building military engineers and getting production towards harbors and industrial zones, because Royal Navy Dockyard gives you loyalty from other continents because you want to settle other continents. You see how they all work together? Settle on other continents for England, whereas Eleanor really doesn't work anything for her. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have. That's pretty much all I have for everything, quite honestly. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Coming out with the Khmer or Jayavarman later on today. And yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm going to go for a nice victory. And oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it tremendously. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.